Today's episode is all about influencers and content creators who are building massive audiences online, but are starting to ask a question: how do I turn this into something I actually own? A lot of creators are growing fast on social platforms, but they still depend on algorithm, payouts, and platforms they don't control. So today I'm joined with Andreas Kisslinger, founder of Lightcast, to talk about how influencers can move from being just a channel to become a real media business, one that owns its audience, protects its brand, and builds long-term value. Andreas, welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, can you give me a few examples of how influencers have their own app? What does that mean or look like?
For most influencers, it's all about building a business. It's not just being a channel, but to transition from being a social media channel to becoming a streaming business with all the bells and whistles, multiple revenue streams, merchandise sale, product sales, and just a long-term business that lasts for decades, not just for a few years, not just hyped up by some sensational video one time, but really a sustainable long-term business for decades to come. And the only way to really do that is by investing into your own business. Just like any other business, the business of an influencer needs investment, and it needs growth, and it needs assets that they can bank on and monetize.
I mean, most creators think a YouTube silver play button is the finish line. Why is being a channel actually the lowest level of the media game? What's that look like for a YouTuber independent?
So any YouTuber, any influencer, any content creator can also publish their own branded streaming channels and streaming apps across all app stores: Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android TV, in cars, on every device, mobile apps, on every screen. And that's the only way to build a streaming business and to put dollars in your own pocket and to monetize any way you like. Use any revenue model and business model that you choose, and to cut out the middleman and get paid maximum dollars. But it also means building equity on your books, because you're investing not in someone else's apps, into apps of another company, but into your own streaming apps, your own assets that are equity on your books. And when it comes time to sell, well, that is what investors, what buyers are looking for. Your apps, your subscribers, your audience, your viewership. On social media, you don't own it. You are being owned. On your own streaming apps, you own everything.
So for creators whose income depends on platforms they don't control, how real is the risk for losing reach, monetization, or even their account overnight?
Well, most social media platforms are entirely controlled by very complex algorithms. Of course, there are gigantic platforms that need to automate almost everything. And that also means automating access to your channel as an influencer. So not only are you battling competition on the social media platform of other influencers who are probably producing very similar content than you do, but you also are at risk at the algorithm drowning you out or suppressing you, or even a temporary cancellation. That in itself, even if you can lift it after a while, can be excruciatingly painful if that is your only source of revenue or your primary source of revenue. And it can happen to anyone. Let's not be fooled. Anyone can actually be affected by an automatic algorithm-based cancellation. It just requires one joke, one sentence, even one single term that is somehow flagged and then suppressed by the algorithm. And we've seen it many times over. Many major brands, the largest influencers, have run into this and have gotten canceled, deplatformed, demonetized, even if only temporary, But imagine if for several days, weeks, or even months, all your revenue went to zero overnight. Can you really afford that? And so the only solution is to build your own audiences on your own streaming properties, your own streaming apps, in addition to social media. So it's not one or the other. You need everything.
Yeah, I mean, entire businesses disappearing overnight. This sounds like a phenomenal insurance policy at the very least. But with that being a threat, also AI impersonations and deep fake content rising in that space daily. How does an owned platform act as the source of truth for a creator's identity? I guess a better way to say it is, with the rise of AI impressions or impersonations, how serious is that threat for influencers and personal brands?
Thank you for bringing that up, Michael. That is actually one of the most overlooked threats for influencers. And it is coming, it's already here. In the next few years, we will see a lot more of that. And it is important to safeguard ourselves against AI impersonation threat. Just even today, anyone could publish content that looks like you, talks like you, sounds like you, and says everything you are saying, but it's not your content. However, viewers will never know the difference. How will your followers, your fans, your viewers know the difference when it's exactly an image of you, but it's not your content? And someone else could monetize it, someone else could make money off it, off your brand, your face, your voice, your topics, everything you say and do, everything you build. So the only way to protect yourself is by guiding your audience to your own streaming properties, your own streaming apps, where your fans can have 100% assurance that anything and everything published on your apps, your streaming apps, your properties is original, authentic, created only by you.
No, that makes sense to me in a lot of ways. And I guess like you're not only is this an insurance policy, you're also protecting yourself from AI impersonations and losing your identity there. But I guess another thing is when people talk about owning your audience, what does that actually unlock that social platforms can't provide?
On social media, the audience is owned by the company, and it's not yours. It is the social media company, the platform, the parent company behind it that owns the platform, the audience, the data, and everything on it. And you will never receive all the audience data from them. They won't share it with you, even though they view your content and they're subscribed to your channel. You don't own the audience data. However, on your streaming apps, your own properties, you can actually get all of the data. It's yours, it's your audience. You own it. It's your platform. You are becoming a YouTube of your own brand in a sense. And so, yes, you need social media platforms, including YouTube, to expand the reach and grow new audiences and viewerships. But you should try to convert some of that audience into superfans, subscribers, viewers who download, install your streaming apps where they can watch and be monetized by you, and you can engage with them directly through your own streaming properties.
No, that's a really good point, and I would even say that there's been times where I've gone to the social media platforms of someone that I am a fan of and keep continuously watching, but I noticed that my intention originally going there, I caught myself watching something completely different. If it was highlights of last night's game or a conspiracy theory, rabbit hole where I don't even remember why I went to YouTube or Facebook in the first place, where having that independent space, that makes all the sense in the world to me, where I can just go right there and engage with that creator. So I guess what I'm curious about is, what's the difference between a casual viewer in a feed and a true fan inside your own platform? Like what's the difference there?
Well, on social media platforms, you rarely know the difference. Yes, you can read the comments, and anyone who comments could be regarded a interested viewer, maybe a fan, but you won't really know the difference. Now, however, those who went to the App Store, installed your apps, your streaming apps of your brand, and they come back to watch there, now that's a totally different level of engagement and of commitment. And that means you're now speaking to superfans that are really following your brand. And that's a whole different level and opens new opportunities, such as selling subscriptions or pay-per-view tickets for access to premium content or events that are exclusive to your fans. And you can do this directly in your streaming properties without giving away half of it to a third-party app or app provider or service provider. You can do this on your own and keep all of the revenue. How about that?
No, that's not. So, Andreas, at what point should a creator start thinking beyond content and start thinking about building a real asset?
We often say that the threshold is about 100,000 subscribers on YouTube or 1 million on TikTok. At that point, it really becomes interesting and relevant for an influencer to launch their own streaming apps and their own streaming business across all major app stores. Because if you can get 10 to 20% of your social media following to download and install your streaming apps and come back to watch there, and then maybe convert another 10 to 20% of that install base to become paying subscribers that pay you monthly or quarterly, annually, a fee for premium content, you can easily and quickly do the math of how quickly you can add additional revenue streams to your business. Then on top of that, of course, you can feature sponsors in a much better way, much more than on social media. You can pre-mid post-roll their ad creative across all your content. And of course, bring in advertising from ad networks and demand partners that of your choosing and that pay you directly without any shares going to any other third-party platform or middlemen. So that can maximize your revenue opportunity. Of course, in addition, merchandise sale and other sales opportunities to your superfans on top of all of that. Now, I think it starts to become interesting at 100,000 subscribers on social media, but the sweet spot is really 1 million and up. So let's say you have 1 million subscribers on your YouTube channel, or maybe 10x that on TikTok followers. Then now let's say you can convert about 10%, 100,000, to download, install your streaming app, and out of that, maybe 20% will be willing to pay for a subscription fee. Let's say 20,000 subscribers paying you $5 to $10 a month. So that's really a good starting point for anyone who has a 1 million or more subscriber channel on YouTube or 10 million more followers on TikTok. That usually works well. Same with Instagram, of course. So you can convert your social media viewers into app installs, app download, and your super fans on your streaming apps from any social media platform, far beyond YouTube, of course. And if you're already on Twitch in the gaming sector, for instance, that's a fantastic way to convert viewers into your own streaming apps to stream live there, as well as on-demand libraries, archives, and offer subscriptions as well. When it comes to content publishing and strategy around content, we always recommend to, of course, keep all your social media channels running as they are. Don't abandon them. Don't change anything you're doing on Instagram, TikTok, social media, as well as, of course, YouTube or any other platform. Keep everything running. Keep publishing there. But you may have some premium content or legacy content that may not even be suitable for social media, which you would like to offer on your own streaming apps and reserve for your own streaming apps. So one strategy would be that you have certain select exclusive content or a wealth of libraries of thousands of videos from an extended time period that you would like to make available on your streaming apps only. You can also, of course, feature other content creators on your streaming apps. So it doesn't all have to be your own content only. You can, of course, it's your brand, your branded apps, but you can feature others there as well, and even form joint ventures that way. And when it comes to monetization, again, subscriptions, pay-per-view, sponsors, advertising, and everything is paying you directly.
Most creators that have a strong following on the social platforms, they're relying on that ad revenue. Why does that model limit their income compared to what Lightcast can offer?
Well, social media, again, it's a phenomenal revenue source. You get a share of the ad revenue, but again, it's only a share. Now, of course, the social media platforms, they have enormous operational costs and marketing costs and server costs. So of course, they have to retain a share of the revenue, of the ad revenue, and only pay you out a certain percentage. Now, that may, at volume, grow to something that of value, but again, it's a volume game, it's a numbers game. You need enormous amounts of viewerships consistently and growing, and you need to satisfy the algorithm ongoing and never misstep, even, without even knowing it, you could. In order to keep that revenue stable and keep that sustained without it tanking, and it could take a turn without you knowing next week, next month, in a year from now. So the only way to protect yourself and to take that limit off is by investing into your own streaming apps, your own streaming properties, and transferring a certain percentage of your social media following to your own streaming apps and monetize there. Because, of course, it's unlimited opportunity to monetize there. Again, the greater the install base, the greater the audience that grows on your own streaming apps, the bigger the revenue potential. But you can do so much more even with a small audience while starting out, such as featuring your sponsors. Most influencers have to substitute their ad revenue share from the social media platforms with JV partnerships, sponsors, very often having to pitch a product on screen in the middle of their episode, right? In the middle of the video they're producing, and either cutting to it or doing it live. And sometimes they can be awkward. Now, granted, many times those are really good and matching products and services, but sometimes it's not the most comfortable thing, not for the audience, not for the viewers, and not for the content creator and influencer on screen. However, on your own streaming apps, you don't have to do that. You own the whole inventory, the ad inventory, it's yours. You can just pre-mid, post-roll the full commercials and ads of your sponsors all around your content without ever having to pitch their product on screen. You can still do that if you wish, but you don't have to anymore.
You're making a lot of great points, Andreas, on new ways to generate revenue and just all the new opportunities. I guess, is there any leverage that a client or a influencer is not used to having that does, or let me reword it. So you're making a lot of great points, Andreas, on how a lot of new models are opened up for generating revenue. When it comes to like leveraging or negotiations, what's that look like when they're just on YouTube versus when they can be everywhere independent?
On social media, the influencer has no influence over the advertising and advertisers because the ad inventory is owned by the social media platform, not by the influencer. So you're stuck with the ads that run around your content. And when it comes to your own sponsorship relationships and JV partnerships, then for product placement, etc. Now, having your own streaming apps with a growing following and install base and viewership, now you have hard fact viewership numbers and audience numbers to present to acquire much more attractive contracts with JV partners, with sponsors for their commercials, their products, all around your own streaming apps. And it gives you it puts you on a whole different level as a streaming business with your own streaming apps when you approach sponsors and partners.
Yeah, I'm thinking if I had a strong following, I could go to State Farm and be like, "Hey, Nationwide's going to pay me a lot more." I don't know if you can do the same thing on YouTube or just other platforms where you can actually own that conversation there.
Absolutely, of course. So you will attract many more sponsors with your own streaming apps that want to advertise on your streaming properties, on your brand's streaming apps across all devices, TV, mobile, cars, web, everywhere. And of course, you can negotiate and leverage those relationships and to drive up the price and the value of your advertising inventory.
No, that's actually exciting to hear, and would probably be fun for people to have that ability where they might not be able to do that now. I guess I'm thinking for creators that are worried about being canceled, demonetized, or losing access to their audience, what does a cancellation-proof setup actually look like?
A cancellation-proof setup would include your own branded streaming apps on every app store, every device, every screen. And the transition and migration of 10 or more % of your social media following to your own streaming apps. Because even if you were ever canceled, even just temporarily, or demonetized or deplatformed, or drowned out by competition, or just simply not satisfying the algorithm for a moment, then you still have your own audience, your own viewership, your own fans and superfans securely on your own streaming apps. No one can take that away from you. No one can cancel you there. No one can shut you down there. It's your properties. It's your streaming business. You own it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like just the political environment or for Second Amendment enthusiasts where you don't have that freedom where you could independently, when you of course abide laws, but in general just the freedom of speech and being able to be creative independently, where you can be a little bit more free and probably have a better product. And cancel proof. That's awesome. I love hearing that.
Yes, having your own streaming apps as an influencer is appealing to anyone who is a political commentary or focused on news and politics or worldviews. Sure, of course, because there is always a risk that there is another side that may want to cancel or censor you. That's the case on any side, right? But it's the same for any other type of content. It's the same for sports, entertainment, games. It doesn't take much to somehow offend the algorithm without knowing it, right? And get temporarily suspended or canceled. It doesn't take much. It can happen accidentally without the content creator even being aware of it. The moment influencers become aware, it's too late.
Yeah, I'm thinking, so like even for someone that's on the climb in viewership, what if their viral moment on YouTube is tomorrow and they don't have their apps? I mean, that's a huge opportunity lost. Wouldn't you, I guess, what are your thoughts there? Is that another way they can leverage having their own independent platform?
Absolutely. That's why we recommend to launch your own streaming apps, invest into your own streaming business early on, add 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and maybe 1 million in total social media followers across all your social media platforms. That's a good time to start investing into your own streaming properties, your own streaming business, because then you are set up. And yes, if that big social media moment comes, that landslide audience spike, that big viral moment, then you're ready to convert some of those viewers into your own streaming apps and direct followers and direct fans and viewers in that moment. If you're not set up yet, well, yep, you missed an opportunity.
So everyone's got an opinion, and I'm sure you'll have as many people that love you and want to watch your content. You'll have haters. What's that experience like when you have your independent platform? Like, how are you protecting your audience? How are you protecting yourself? Like, what's the difference there?
Every influencer learns very quickly not to take it personal, not to let it get under your skin, and just not to listen to all the bad comments. Maybe that spread misinformation or misunderstood something. But even the most experienced, seasoned influencers, sometimes there can come a moment, there can be a comment that does get under your skin, and it can feel painful to deal with that and very unfair. And to not expose yourself to that entirely, continuously, you can just migrate 10 or more % of your viewership to your own streaming apps. And on your own streaming apps and streaming properties, you control the narrative. You control commenting. You can allow or disallow commenting. You can just even have it all evolve around just enjoying your content, and you can control that. And then don't forget, who will go and download your own streaming apps from the App Store? Well, it'll be a fan. That's a fan, right? So you've already sifted out the haters automatically in most cases. And because now you're really catering to fans and super fans on your streaming apps. And it's a totally different experience and very enjoyable process.
So if a creator could upload once and let the software handle distribution, subtitles, and publishing everywhere, how does that change their ability to scale?
It frees up so much time to use a software and let software do what a software can do, so that humans can do what humans should do, and that is to be creative, create, be the ones producing the content, and influencers having to deal with content management and all these repetitive administrative tasks to publish, and all of this can be automated largely by the AI Media Cloud of Lightcast. So Lightcast AI Media Cloud automates almost all workflows, from metadata creation, thumbnail creation, automatic distribution to all platforms, including social media, but also to web, mobile, TV apps, to your custom branded apps, to podcast platforms, all in one with a single click. So that means you can use one single platform to manage all of your content securely in one place. You can add team members and give them permissions to manage certain parts of the media cloud and content to help you. And then it auto distributes to all platforms in a single workflow, fully automatically.
Wow, that is almost like another discipline for people that have strong followings, where you don't have to engage with the social media comments. You just go to the media cloud and send it everywhere. So it's better for business and better for your headspace.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, Andreas, looking ahead, do you think the most successful influencers will all eventually own their own platform? And if so, why?
Yes, we 100% believe that most large influencers, really truly influential influencers, will invest into their own streaming properties, their own streaming platform, their own streaming apps, because they realize the potential it has, the revenue potential, the growth potential, the value it adds and creates in their business, the equity on their books. Most influencers are in it for the long haul, but they also want an exit strategy at some point, maybe sell their streaming business to a bigger brand or another company. And the only way to really do that is by having invested into your own streaming apps, your own brand, your own streaming platform with your own audiences and subscriber bases, and that you fully own and monetize directly. And so yes, we can see it going in that direction. Most large influencers will not abandon their social media accounts at all. They will continue to feed them, but they will also produce additional content, certain premium content, or live events or other type of benefits to their own direct subscribers and direct viewers on their own streaming properties. That's exactly where it's headed.
Wow. It sounds like 5 years from now, influencers will maybe not exist, but they'll be independent, or I guess they'll have to be independent to survive, because with AI and revenue tools and what YouTube's doing, this sounds like a no-brainer to me.
Yes, absolutely, and I still believe that in 5 to 10 years from now, all the big social media platforms will still be as strong as they are today. YouTube will probably be bigger than it is today, and most other social media platforms will be as well. And most influencers will still use them and grow on social media, but they will have expanded and diversified their business model, their revenue streams, and also their investment into their own brand and into their own streaming business, having taken their streaming channel to a streaming business.
More like a marketing portal for what their independent brand can do for them.
Yes.
Wow. Well, Andreas, this was really insightful. It's always a pleasure speaking with you and learning how the industry is changing daily. So thanks again, Andreas, for your time.
Absolutely. My pleasure.